Today we're talking a little bit more safety, but we're on the routers, router table, plunge routers, palm routers, or hand routers I call it. What we're going to talk about today is the direction of the bit spinning and the direction you need to be taking your work through the router for better cuts and for safety. Because like on this plunge router, it's got a huge bit. If you're in hardwood, what'll happen is if you're going the wrong way, it'll want to try to grab and pull it out of your hands or push your work away from you. So the cut isn't near as good. So if you're going the correct direction, you have a better cut. It's easier to cut, and it's a lot safer. So I've got plunge routers. I got a couple of Ridges and got a Milwaukee. Most of them will have an arrow for the direction of the bit. That is important for you to know, because by that information, you're going to need to know which way to take your router over the work, whichever side you're on of the router. The direction is important. Whether you're on a router table, because router tables, you turn it upside down, it'll appear to go in the opposite direction, which if you flip it up, a mirror image, it'd be in the opposite direction. So therefore, you'll need to know which way to carry it through if you're on a router table. So at the router table, I have marked it here. It didn't have any marks on it, but this is the direction of the bits rotation. The thing about it is, if you remember the other ones, it appears, and it's flipped over to mirror image. So the direction of the work is important. So what happens here? You take a router that the direction of the bit is going this way. So when it's standing up in this orientation, you're actually going to go down to your work and go and move in the direction of the arrow. If you're on the back side, I got an arrow marked there, so you would come and go this direction. Because what's happening as you're coming down through here, that thing is rotating like this. So it is taking that wood off this way. However, if you was going backwards, the rotation is the same. So it's coming around in this direction, like this. So it's trying to pull itself away from the work. This way, it actually pulls itself into the work. This, because you're fighting it, it will leave a worse surface than this will, because it's actually, the forces are working to your favor to get a good cut. Plus, this right here, this is a prize to you, it could pull it out of your hand or take the work and send it away. Things could get pretty exciting right there. However, at a router table, it's actually turning the opposite direction, because you're looking down from the tops to the bottom. But it still works here the same way, although it's going in a different direction. So you'll want to go against the arrow as your work goes, because what's happening is coming around through here, pulling itself into the wood. So if you try to go the wrong way, see, it's trying to climb, it's what they call a climb cut. So it's trying to force it away from you, and what'll happen is it'll sling in. See, the router's going to stay there, but what's going to happen, this thing will, if it pulls it out of your hand, now your hand's going to be thrown into the bed, because that's the center of the force. But then again, if it's pulling toward, you get a better cut. It's easier to go through the wood. But if you're on the other side, it's right the opposite. You'll have to go this way. I actually had a viewer ask about router safety, so I decided to go ahead and do this video. There is one other thing that might clear it up, is if you're cutting a groove or channel, say for a bolt or tie down bolt, something, or whatever you need a groove for, whether it's all the way through the wood or not. So let's say you're wanting a 5/16 channel cut through here. Let's just say. All right, your bit collection runs from 1/4 to 3/8. So to do a 5/16 channel, you'll need a 1/4 inch and then bump the fence for a second pass to get your 5/16. So what I said earlier about the way this thing's going, if you're cutting through here, you want to cut off this side of the cut on this side of the bit, but you get your fence set to where it's cutting right here. That 1/4 inch, say it's right there. All right, you make your cut, then you push your fence back that away, the remainder to where you can cut for your 5/16. That way, when you're cutting through here, you're cutting on this side of the bit. Because if you're cutting on that side of the bit with the rotations, it wants to throw you work, and it's a lot harder to cut. So if you calculate it to where you move the fence that way, it cuts off the front each and every time. You'll have a safer and a cleaner cut. There's something else that you kind of need to do. And I got these bench dog tools, push blocks. They have not let me down. So this keeps your hands away from it. You've got good control over it. So I'd recommend, so you can get you some kind of push. Now, if you got the table saw and I did a video on so you can actually use anything to keep your hands safe. And another thing, small parts. I see people making jigs and all that. I get me a hand screw clamp, and I get these for odd shapes where, you're needing some kind of shape, or this is good for that. And also they're good for, say you needed to run this through it. Now your hands are back here, you got complete control. Sometimes you need to do small parts, and this little old fella right here is perfect for that. I thought I'd chime in here with a little safety on a router. It does make a difference when you're pointing this way or upside down like it is in the router table. But I hope you learned something here. I want y'all to be safe around these router tables. You get in that blade, them things are running at high speed, and they will eat you up. The correct direction, pay attention to rotation. Right before you fire any of these up, pay attention to the rotation and how you're going to be. Plan it out in your head before you actually just don't fire up and go. You want to think about what you're doing, and that goes for you fire up a table saw. Think about what you're fixing to do. If you're ripping a fence, look past it, see what's in obstruction back there. It's like here on this router, if you're going down through there, look past where you're going to be. Make sure no obstructions, or make sure it's secure. You got the proper push blocks if you're on the router table. Because routers, they got enough bits now that you can really dress up a project. picture frames for an example. You can really dress it with just the most common bits and mix and match. You can come up with something really pretty. So thought I'd throw that out there. Appreciate you watching. Hope you learned something. But the main thing, be safe, and I'll catch you on the next one.